Code 1 is a term used by law enforcement for either clearing a call as incident report made or as referring to the report itself. Welcome to the Code 1 podcast, where we start with the facts usually found in the initial reports and scene of the crime, work our way out, and back in. I'm your host, Jason Zod, a professional investigator with over 19 years' experience. Join me as I talk with others who add their own valuable perspectives to a podcast where assumption is always second to deduction. Welcome back to the Code 1 podcast. My name is Jason Zod, and tonight we are going to be going over, I won't say it's necessarily a special case, but it is certainly an interesting case, which we always try to bring you. And to begin this, let me introduce my wonderful cohorts. With us, as always, is the wonderful, fantastic Nat. How are you doing tonight, Nat?
Good. How are you?
Doing pretty good. And Nat's going to be our voice of the public on this one. I think this is going to be one of those ones where Nat's going to be able to shine a little bit more on this than either myself or the other fellow sitting next to me.
She always does, by the way.
Mr. John Hunter of the Trash Podcast, award-winning investigative journalist, are going to be able to contribute, because I think this is going to be one that's going to rely heavily on the opinion of the people, and Nat does represent the voice of the people in this podcast.
And I got opinions.
That is true. A woman with opinions.
Crazy.
Love it.
You didn't ask me how I was doing.
How are you doing, John? This is going to be a good one. Tonight we are going to focus on the case of a fellow that I have dubbed in the past 5 seconds the Misery of Missouri, Mr. Ken Rex McElroy. And this is John's case tonight, so I would like to hand the floor over to him, let him do the intro and take us and lead us where we need to go to discuss what happened and how maybe we should feel about this.
Well, I think you can feel any way you want to, and I've been honest about that. Feel how you want to, people.
Yeah.
It's a free.
Yeah.
We don't force an opinion. Now, this is about a man who took on a town and lost. And I mean, literally takes on a town.
He had a lot of W's, but one compelling loss.
But, you know,
it's a big L.
This is almost something that could be a work of fiction, but it's true. So start with 1976, okay?
Full disclosure, this guy did have Brian Dennehy play him in a TV movie.
Right.
And that's something in life to me.
Well, let's start with 1976. This takes place in a farming town of Skidmore, Missouri. And now I think at the time you're looking at a population of about 400 or so people. Maybe more. I don't know. It kind of varies within the story, and you'll see why. But this is a small town farming community. I would say people are very salt of the earth, working class people, right? Everybody obviously knows everybody. There's, we'll probably get into this, but the town has its own past as well outside of Ken McElroy. But we're going to start in 1976. There's a farmer named Romaine Henry. He's one of the town residents farmer. He gets word that somebody's firing a gun down the street from where he lives. So he gets in his truck and he drives down to this area. He gets out and he sees a shotgun. No, actually, he doesn't get out. He's still in his truck. He sees a shotgun aimed at him. And he recognizes the person as Ken Rex McElroy. Ken Rex McElroy was about 6'3", big man, sideburns. He kind of looked like, who would you, I would say, anybody knows who Unknown Henson is. He looks like a big version of Unknown Henson.
Like he got hit with gamma radiation.
Right. They said he had blue eyes.
He's super known Henson.
These are quotes from people that knew him. in town. He had blue eyes that stared right through you. Thing about him is
That just sounds romantic. I mean, I don't know, just to be,
well, he's
perfectly honest.
He was a bit of a
Well,
romantic, and we can.
It could be romantic, or it could be like
They were steely
he doesn't
cold.
see you.
Yeah,
you're nothing.
He's soulless with a 1,000-yard stare.
Yeah,
maybe that's more appropriate.
The thing,
I think so.
Yeah, I think you got me focused on that one.
but as big as he was, he reportedly never got into fights, but he would shoot people.
Yeah,
this was what he was known for. So McElroy he's in the road with a gun aimed at Romaine Henry. He's accusing Henry of being over at his house with a Pontiac, driving around in his house in a Pontiac. Now,
does this guy think he's Richard Petty or something?
Well, Romaine Henry doesn't even have a Pontiac. He's like, I don't have a car like that.
Well, not anymore.
He calls them a lying SOB. I'm not censoring myself. This is literally what was said. I'll censor myself elsewhere.
Mister, you take that back.
So McElroy pulls the trigger, shoots Henry in the stomach. He talks in detail about how his stomach everything was coming out of him.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, he survived. They get him to the hospital. He survives.
Now that he was shot with a shotgun in the stomach.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So
the report I got, it was buckshot. Was the report that the most accurate report I got. But if you get a belly full of buckshot, many times you're not going to make it.
Well, there was no intention of wounding this person. This is from the story that's told. It's a
shoot from the hip.
Murder.
It's a shoot from the hip kind of shot. It's definitely attempted murder.
Well, McElroy was arrested soon after, and he went to court. When he went to court, he had two witnesses saying that he wasn't there, and they released him.
Yeah, because they were quote unquote deer hunting.
Yeah, he wasn't there, so he was released without going to.
Well, them
did they ever say who the witnesses were?
No, I didn't get that, but
I think they named him in one. I mean, it's not really important. They were some of his regular crew that he ran with.
It could have also been two people in
It
his
could be
household,
coerced, but
or in his household as well.
True.
The thing about McElroy is he had a long history. This wasn't the first incident by any means, him terrorizing Skidmore. He was known as the town bully. And it's funny to think that there's a town bully, but this guy is literally the definition of the guy that everybody runs from, that nobody wants to make eye contact with. He was always causing trouble. He was born in 1934. Grew up in Skidmore. He was the 13th out of 14 kids. By all means, he was uneducated. In the traditional
even by the standards of the day.
Yeah, in the traditional sense. I mean,
he was, however, considered to be somewhat crafty, skillful,
but he did not like
smart.
His family was very poor, but he hated the image of being poor. He didn't like people thinking that he was inferior. He didn't want to seem inferior to anybody else.
Yeah, he didn't want to be looked down on.
Right. And his father was abusive. There's a story that they tell about I don't know where, that's actually maybe the documentary series, but about how he loved animals. Ken McElroy loved animals.
Yeah, that was one of his children, one of his sons, I believe, was telling the story.
Yeah.
He was very, even though he was averse to people, even as a child, he loved animals, and his father wanted him to beat one of the animals they had on their family land or do something bad to the animal.
They didn't go into
He didn't specify it. And he kept punishing and beating Ken over and over again until finally Ken relented. And then it just, like, he kind of cracked and changed from there, according to Ken's siblings, that one of Ken's children was relating the story to.
And he would, I guess during this time, I don't know if he learned it from his father, but through this series of events, he would learn how to scare people into submission so they wouldn't tell on him. He would destroy property. He'd use threats to keep people silent. And then,
yeah, it was kind of like a college of coercion. I mean, he really was all about, into keeping his thumb on folks.
Yeah, and he would steal animals,
Cattle rustler.
chemicals from farms, all sorts of things.
That's one of the things that struck. He was an actual cattle rustler. Like, that's not a profession.
That's outside of the 1800s.
Yeah,
Maybe
like horse thief and cattle rustler. You're thinking, okay, well, somebody's gonna make their own bullets and go hunt them down. But no, this was in the fucking 50s and 60s when he was cattle rustling.
Oh, it was later than that.
Well, at least
the 70s. Yeah,
he was cattle rustling as a teenager.
Yeah.
So
no, I mean I think this went on till early 70s.
Likely.
He for a living. So I did learn that you really don't ever know what he did for a living, but part of the way he made money was
his looks.
He rented. He was a male model.
Yeah.
He rented land. Is that right? Is this what he had some land that he would rent to people?
Oh yeah, forgot about that.
And so I guess it was his parents' land. They had that farm. So I guess
well, they had a ton of family land, even though his parents were sharecroppers. They somehow got or descended from sharecroppers. They somehow got a bunch of land. My guess would be his father holding his gun to somebody's head,
right,
figuratively or literally, and getting them to sign land over throughout the years. But they did have a decent amount of land in the family.
Yeah. Well, he had he amassed several. I don't know. Do we want to get into that now? His criminal record?
Yeah, let's get into a little bit of it because I think that, and if you don't mind, I'll comment on the construction injury real quick.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
He worked construction briefly as a teenager. I think in his early 20s. He was gravely injured at one point, including a massive head injury in an accident, and they thought he wasn't going to make it for a little while. But much to a lot of folks' later chagrin, he bounced back, and he supposedly was limping and injured for a long time, but there's conflicting reports on that, if he actually suffered anything to where he was physically debilitated or if part of it was an act. But it certainly was enough for him to he was able to intimidate folks regardless, I guess because of his size and his proclivity towards weapons. It might be part of the reason he didn't get into a lot of fistfights, is because he was in fact disabled somehow. Or,
I wonder if it was just his father, the image of being abused by his father. He was afraid of actual confrontation. He figured that
he didn't want to tote an ass whooping.
Right.
Like a lot of these kids today.
Yep.
They don't want to tote no ass whooping.
Nope. Bob's big boy looking ass.
That is what he looks like.
He looks like
Bobby. Oh fuck now, yeah. It's done
now. But he ended up having, before all this, 24 felony charges over the years: cattle rustling, hog rustling, statutory rape, theft, assault with intent to kill, molesting a child. And part
that
of
is quite the record. I mean, you want to talk about someone who's hit the panacea of criminal charges.
He wasn't just a town bully. He's cattle rustling.
Fucking child offenses.
But well, the thing is, the guy had a tough side to him, but he also was quite the ladies'
man. The ladies' man.
And
by ladies, you mean
actually we should probably call him a girl's man.
The child's man.
Yeah.
The child's man, because
fucking sick.
Ken McElroy,
he was quite the Barbie Wiggler.
Ken McElroy had
look over here, girl.
Over his life had 5 wives.
I hate it.
Between 16 to 19 children. And here's the thing, he had
how many wives?
5.
Oh, I thought you said 9.
But 2 at one time.
But still
16 to 19 children.
Confirmed over 10 for sure, but estimated 16 to 19.
But he had a type too, which was
illegal.
14, around 14-year-old girls. That was the average. Yeah. And he, the heart wants what it wants. He
wasn't as hard
pursue, and then he would often have multiple women in his life. One that played a very prominent role in his life was Trina. Trina was a 13-year-old girl.
She wasn't his first, but she was his last.
No, she wasn't. He had another wife after that.
Oh, shit, that's right. What? No, I thought she was the last.
No, they were married at at the same time.
Oh,
Yeah. So Trina, he meets Trina as a 13-year-old. She's
the 13-year-old.
And how old is he?
He at this time I think is, let's see, 10 years. I think in his 40s. Is that right?
He's just a baby.
Fucking disgusting.
So he
Fucking disgusting.
You know what? Get the rope right there.
Was,
this is my get the rope moment.
It was 11.
Get the fucking rope right here.
It's 11 years before. She was 24 when he died.
Yeah.
So
and he was 47 when he died.
Oh, okay, so he was in the 30s. Whatever.
Still, get the rope.
It doesn't matter.
Get the rope.
So he meets this Trina. She starts getting off the bus every day at school and then going to meet up with him, getting in his truck, and then he would bring her back.
Now she went to school with one of his children.
Probably.
Yes.
But
that's how he saw her on the bus.
No, maybe. I know that
that was one of the reports I read.
Well, he would target 13 and 14-year-olds anyway. And
right.
One of the people he ends up being another person, or a prominent person in his demise. I guess her children saw him on there.
Right.
They were friends with Trina. Well, Trina, she would get off the bus, get to his truck, and then he would drop her off soon after. Now, he decides he wants to marry Trina. Her parents obviously said no.
I'm just a fool. Child.
I mean, even you could say what you want about these poor farming communities. They know that's not good.
It don't fly.
So, and he was also married at the time this is happening as well. This is another marriage. So
now, can I pause for just a second and ask Nat something? Nat, did you ever have experiences with people? I don't know if you ever rode a bus or whatever, but like loomers or older men of that age when you were around that age?
All the time.
Okay, so how does that make you feel? Like, what your perspective on this? What's your estimates of this guy? I mean, I know obviously piece of shit, whatever, but like, where are you on this at this point?
Like, I mean, well, obviously this guy is not an adjusted person. Like, people of that who are attracted to minors are not adjusted. That's not
minor attracted
normal
people.
No, absolutely not. Never say that again. No, I can remember being that age, and well, especially when I was like old enough to drive.
Right.
I mean, I look younger than I am now. At 16, I looked like I was 13. You know, it's just like I got way more attention from older men when I was underage than
Jesus Christ.
I mean, once you hit 18, you're too old.
Yeah.
It's like
look at
so
you old crone.
Yeah,
Jesus
I mean, I had
Christ.
this old guy at a gas station just always asking, when are we going for coffee? When are we going for coffee? And I was like,
what the fuck?
Never.
Did he work at the gas station or was he just hanging out?
He worked there. But I mean, that's just one of many interactions. Like there was one time where I was getting in my car from like a lodge upriver and like waiting for my boyfriend, and this man in like this shitty Mercedes is like, well, just come and hang out with me. My parents live up here. I was like, nope, thank you.
Yeah.
Did you unfairly judge him on his car?
Go back in the lodge. What?
Did you unfairly judge him on his car? Is that what it was?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, he was like, you know, it was like one of those older but still nice Mercedes cars.
Yeah.
And he looked like maybe 30s.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. I'm like, you're trying to rape me right now.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to go back in the lodge and hang out with the old ladies.
Yeah. Jesus.
It was very, yeah, but you know, those situations didn't happen to me after I turned 18.
I mean, were there honestly a few years where you kind of felt like you were on edge just being out in public?
I mean, I'm always on edge.
Well, I get that, but you know.
But yes, you have to be on guard because
that's for her sins of the past, though.
No, it's
don't even know what
just
that means.
I don't
being a
either.
girl,
It
being a
sounded good.
girl in in the world,
Yeah.
cliche, but it's true. You have to keep your head on a swivel. You have to pay attention to your surroundings.
Well, you didn't have
We were always taught like, you can't be rude to men or they could hurt you. Like you're
Yeah.
taught to not, just be nice, be
Now
polite.
this is other women teaching you this, or is this men teaching you?
Oh
this?
yeah,
Okay.
other women. Yeah.
Well, you didn't have a good man like Ken Rex McElroy. That's the
Yeah.
No.
So
No.
You can have a good monster.
well, he continued to date Trina. Her parents obviously objected. At the age of 16, she accused him of rape.
Mm-hmm. Now, this is after he'd been with her for how many
3 years.
3 years.
He accused her of rape. She pulls the accusation back. She says that it was because she was jealous. He was married to another woman.
Mm-hmm.
Well, after that, the rape accusation, he asked her parents again if he could marry her. Or actually, sort of during this time, a lot of people think this was the reason he asked was she couldn't testify against him, and then they would all be dropped. And
well, also she became pregnant during that time, correct?
Well, no, her parents again said no, but then somehow, and I don't know how this happened, but their house burned to the ground.
Now, if I can make
and a lot of people believe that Ken did it. If you believe,
no way.
But you know what happened to it? Trina says that it was faulty wiring.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Now,
Wonder where she heard that from.
I don't know.
A point of clarification.
Who told her that?
I don't know.
She accused him when she was 15.
Well,
because the age of consent was 16 in that state at the time.
I don't know. I'm just going on by the.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's correct. When I looked up the law and got into some of the weeds on that, she was 15 when she made the allegation, and then he asked for her hand in marriage, and exactly what you said happened subsequently. But just for the purpose of clarification.
Well, he also had another wife at this time. Shortly after.
What the heck you say?
A woman named Alice Wool, and they all lived together.
A woman?
A woman named Alice Wool.
Well, I mean,
was she a woman?
Oh, sorry, 14-year-old girl.
Yeah.
14-year-old girl.
Sorry.
Oh yeah, not women, you guys.
Nope.
Children.
Nope.
I say woman because she was a woman when I saw the original interview with her.
She's a woman now.
Right. I think she's still alive. But he liked to. Apparently, this is going to actually sound strange. He was all his kids say he was a very good dad. Never abused them. He always brought them.
They want that some bitch coming back after him.
No, he was very kind to them, but sometimes he had to abuse the wives, but never in front of the kids.
Bathing suit pattern, buddy.
Oh no, black eyes, all sorts of things, but not in front of the kids.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, what a gent.
Yeah,
what a real gent.
Anyway, so we know a little bit more about Mr. McElroy, the town bully. You could probably pinpoint one incident into what ultimately led to his demise.
Really?
Well, one specific thing that finally it's the
straw that broke. Yeah, straw that broke the camel's back.
Right. It was Lois Bowenkamp and her husband Ernest owned a store in town. One day Lois was working, these two little girls come in. One was about 14, the other was about 4. Little girls pick up some candy. I think nobody really pays attention to it, whatever. They leave. There's a lot of ambiguity there about what was said, but shortly after, Trina McElroy comes into the store, just on fire, just letting it fly, saying those were her and McElroy's kids, right?
Right.
And she said, "How dare you accuse them of stealing?
Don't you know who my husband is?"
Well, she says, You're about to meet Kenneth McElroy. Okay. From that day forward, Ken McElroy starts stalking the Bowen camps. He would ride by the store, drive by their house, different times, kind of just, way, kind of what he does. He puts terror in them.
Mm-hmm.
So in this alleyway behind the store, they have like a loading dock, I guess. It's kind of like a little concrete porch loading area. One day, Ernest is sitting out there by himself. He's just sitting in a chair, just kind of looking off. This is April 25th, 1980. Rolls up, Ken rolls up,
Right.
pulls a shotgun on him. He says something to the effect like, "Don't you want to fight me?" or "You want to fight?" or something like that. Ernest is an older man.
Right.
Obviously doesn't want any part of this. He's also got a gun drawn on him.
He basically turned into Jack Palance and Shane at this point.
Right. Well,
and that's the most dated reference I have made on this show in quite the while.
He was like,
back up the gun.
He was like Buster Keaton when he. So he shoots Ernest in the neck.
Yep.
And
no, that's a fully intentional
with the shotgun. Drives away. He gets arrested shortly after, but he gets bonded right out. Goes to the pool hall, starts bragging about what he did.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's got this lawyer that they call him a fast talking lawyer. I don't know what that, that's means a lot of different things in the rural communities, but his
uses a lot of words.
Name was Richard McFadden, and Richard McFadden remembered the day that he got hired initially by McElroy. He looked at him, he saw his clothes and his torn shirt, and he said, I don't think I can help you. This is a high paid Kansas City lawyer.
Yeah, he was not from Skidmore. He was a literal Kansas City lawyer.
And he said, "Oh, I think I can take care of that," and hands him a wad of money.
Yeah.
So
if you look at McFadden's other clients throughout the years, that's a whole nother rabbit hole you can go down that would connect this gentleman possibly with other folks, but that's not what this podcast is about.
So he's has money. He's paying his way out of this. The prosecutor at the time was a very young guy. Ends up maybe, I don't know. Some people think that he made some mistakes later on when it comes to the other side of this, but
or he balanced some scales. One of the two.
Maybe. It's all up for debate. So the town feels betrayed now that he's out on bond. He didn't have to do any jail time for this.
Right. He wasn't even held until the trial because he's clearly a fucking public menace. He's got a record a mile long.
Yeah.
He has a terrible reputation in the community. There's no person in the legal system who doesn't know him. The fucking police are afraid of him.
That's another thing. But
yeah. I'll go back into the martial.
I was getting ready to get to that.
Yeah, go
in
for
a second. So Ernest ends up living. He goes back to working at the store, believe it or not. But
Ernest is a fucking hoss, by the way.
Ernest is a big old guy for.
I'm not just. I'm talking about just being a bad motherfucker.
That's what I mean. He's a real southern, workhorse type guy. He doesn't. He's tough.
He's one of those guys who will start off talking to you about, well, mister. Yeah. Like one of those guys.
He goes back to work, but McElroy keeps stalking the Bowen camps. And he goes by their house. He fires shotguns in the air.
Mm-hmm.
And they were afraid of this guy. The sheriff's office, when they would call them, if they responded at all, it would be like 3 days later.
Yeah.
So now the town is getting this anxious feeling like they're being let down. There's a local marshal that's assigned to the area, but what happens to him
when he gets to the area? He basically an armed McElroy quickly confronts him and threatens him
and his family.
And his family. So the marshal calls for backup, and the police refuse to help. The marshal turns in his badge and quit the very next day.
Yeah.
The United States Marshal.
That's the story. What's that show called? Braylon Gibbons.
Justified.
And then
it's the opposite of Justified.
Oh, okay. I thought that was what that show was about.
It's the goddamn quantum opposite of Justified.
Yeah, he would have had a bullet in like the first.
It would have been, as soon as he reached into his truck, he would have been fucking peppered with 45 rounds.
Right.
I'm just going to get my gun. Boom, boom, boom.
Well, they keep living in fear because there's no law enforcement there to help them. A year later from the incident, the shooting, the trial happens. Now, he was charged with first-degree assault with a deadly weapon. And he's facing a minimum of 10 years and a maximum of life, depending on how they, judge. His defense team used a self-defense reason for the shooting. This is the Richard McFadden, his defense, right?
Yeah.
But he ended up being found guilty, believe it or not.
He did.
They found him guilty. However, his attorney filed an appeal asking the judge to release him on bond, and the judge agrees. So he went home. He went free. There's a lot of people. This was the county seat of this county, where Skidmore is a town called Maryville, which is up the road, several miles up the road. A lot of people from Skidmore went to the trial. By the time they got home, they saw that McElroy was already there and was celebrating
at the D&G Tavern.
Yeah. So
the local watering hole.
I mean, I assume there's probably only one.
The D&G
officially, yes.
The D&G is in an interesting place as well for other reasons, based on who owns D&G.
True, and connections to Mr. McElroy, which we can talk to after we get to the crux of this.
They're scared, they're tired, and this is also out before we get to the next part. Something about Skidmore is everybody in that town had a gun just because of they were hunters.
You can look at
that
series. It's on Netflix. Nobody saw a thing.
Oh, it was initially on Showtime.
Yeah, but you can see. I'm not Netflix. On you can find it on YouTube.
Yeah,
it's easy to find. I'd say the first.
I call it the
three episodes are very much worth a watch.
All the cool people call it the tube.
The tube. Yeah, the people in Britain call the fucking train that too. But
yeah,
no, I think I haven't finished it. I think I have another episode, but I think going past episode 3 is also good insight into the town.
It's informative, but I don't know how germane it is to the direct murder.
No. It's more about the town versus this actual case.
Yeah.
The lynchings and all the whatnot that come.
That also can it can also go into your opinion of what's about to happen.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so everybody has guns, right? So this is important information.
Mom's farmer's got guns. The farmer's mom's got guns.
So he was released. McElroy was released. They call a town meeting the morning of July 10th, 1981. Now, there are rumors that there's all kinds of rumors about what happened in this meeting. But the gist of it was that people were trying to figure out how they were going to protect themselves. There was rumors that money exchanged hands for the death of McElroy. There was just full of emotions. There up to 100 people, maybe more, in this meeting. It's a smaller little room too. There's also a rumor that the sheriff was in the meeting and drives out of town allegedly right after the meeting.
And after telling them to form a neighborhood watch. Don't take actions into your own hand, quote, form a neighborhood watch.
Well, at the time this is happening, meeting's happening, across the street, and I mean like probably
almost literally, it's diagonally across
50 yards, maybe even that.
Yeah, roughly. But here's the thing: a lot of people think this meeting was directly in response to Mr. McElroy arriving at the D&G Tavern that morning.
No, I don't.
They saw him and they just couldn't stand it because he arrived with an M1 rifle.
Well, the timeline there
and a bayonet attached to it, making threats for his morning drinking.
Well, maybe so. But he's in the bar across the street, the D&G bar, right across the street. The meeting ends and people start walking over to the bar. Now, McElroy was not alone. Trina was with him at the time. She goes into the bar and by her accounts, she says the bar was strange. The mood in the bar was strange. The people were getting free beers in there earlier in the morning, but not many people were coming in, which is, you think they're handing out free beers, you would be crowded, right? Even in the morning, I would suppose. They leave the D&G bar and they go to the truck. They're sitting in their truck. All of a sudden, as soon as they walk out, all these other people start walking out of the bar.
Well, I have a problem with
like a
discrepancy in this story, and this is just something I want to go over before we go down to what you're getting ready to say. One of Trina's stories, she said they got more beers before they were going to leave town.
Yeah, I think they got them from the bar.
It was like a pack of beer.
Yeah. I think it's one of those places where you can.
Okay, well,
it's like package store.
I didn't know if she had walked somewhere else at his behest to get beers while he was drinking in the bar or what, but they purchased more beers before. And okay,
maybe that's why I got confused, thinking that she was at the store.
That confused me as well.
Well, maybe, but she was in the truck when
she claims.
Well, okay. I think she probably was because of the other parts of this.
Okay, keep going.
So, people start coming out of the meeting as well, right?
Correct.
Now, this is very odd. You've all of a sudden got people kind of surrounding this truck. She says that people are kind of laughing and smiling in a menacing manner.
Mm-hmm.
The next thing you know is gunfire. We don't know how many shots are fired, but she says there's gunfire. Ken is hit in the back of the head. His head goes forward. His foot steps on the gas and the engine revs until it blows.
Mm-hmm.
So there's the number of people that were actually out on the streets. Some people say it was like 20. Some people say 45.
40,
I've heard like 100 people. It's all different numbers, but
the mean average comes out to about 40, given all accounts.
Right. So all these people were out in the street. As this is going on, Trina says a few people grab her from the truck, pull her into a bank for her own safety. And she uses that word lightly because she also says that they end up threatening her. Basically, don't go, you'll be next. You go out there, whatever. So now he's shot. Everything quiets down after the engine blows.
Mm-hmm.
Got this dead quiet. And eventually everybody disperses and they go back to what they were doing. They go home, actually. Everybody goes to their house.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the people working in the area puts a sheet over the car or the truck, right? Just to not, you don't want to leave some person's body. What do you have there? So I'm sorry. Now here's where you can talk about the bullet holes. This is, what did you see? Now you've seen the pictures of in the documentary.
What I could find available, and I watched the documentary and some of the things they had available. Here's what I see without anything crazy or definite. Gauging on the, I don't know, Nat, did you get the pictures I sent you?
Yeah.
Okay.
You get the pictures I sent you too.
Do we want to tell Jason about those?
No,
I don't think I want to know.
They're very revealing.
Yeah.
Well, this podcast had to end sometime. In the scene photos I see that appear to be legit ones and not stills from the movie that were reproduced for drama's sake. It appears to be 2 shooters. You've got one on the driver's side area who appears to be moving, or at least the vehicle was moving whenever he began shooting. And you have one located behind the vehicle, likely catacornered towards the right passenger side of the truck bed area on back. The 2 calibers listed are 22 Magnum, which is a rifle caliber, or it was a rifle caliber 22. And the other one is an 8mm, which is almost certainly a rifle used in the Korean War, as well as at the time it was the munition of NATO and used a NATO rifle, so it was a common military rifle. The 22 Magnum rifle is commonly used for hunting mid to small game. Both these rifles would have been common in the first one, especially in a veteran of a war, a recent war, Korea, or even Vietnam at that point. And the 22 cal could have been anybody who was in the area and just had a domestic weapon. The rear shooter appeared to have been stationary, and given the range and shots, some folks say that they were half a block away by these mysterious witnesses who don't ever appear and say shit to anybody else. The biographers and the press pick up on these somehow. The holes in the door, holes in the windows indicate that when the shooter who was shooting from behind with the 8mm was aiming for strictly McElroy, by the broken glass, by the shot placement, particularly the back of the head, and some of the exit wound from the autopsy photos, which are terrible, fucking terribly grainy. But you can see a few things. In addition to some of the headshots from the side, the 22 piercing a temple and exiting, or not exiting that I can see from these photos, one along the left jawline, close to the mandibular angle, exiting.
I was wondering where my mandibular was.
Yeah. Exiting out the right side, slightly above the actual mandibular interior angle, leaving a lopsided exit wound, which that particular round is long, and on an exit wound will leave either a pear-shaped or a dick and ball shaped type wound. I hate to put it that way, but that's just what it does. The
I didn't get any of those autopsy photos, but I'm okay with that.
Oh yeah, you know, it's not.
It's hard to see them actually. To be honest with you,
if you don't really know, I haven't looked at a ton of these things.
We know how you love to look at the most gruesome.
You've got what appears to be one entrance behind behind the ear at one point. It looks like an 8mm round. The blood pattern coming out of the nose down the mouth, obviously intracranial hemorrhaging, massive trauma, sinus cavity rupturing. The blood streaking down his face is clearly from after he was laid down. So post-mortem, you still had a great mass that was still slushing around in the head. So this is a lot of intracranial trauma.
Probably some of the glass, because his head was on the, was it not on the, did it not hit the windshield or no?
I don't believe it did.
Oh.
He would have, at that point, he would have struck his part of his brains hit the windshield, but
yeah,
his head itself, no.
Sure.
Yeah. The back, the back.
Not much there to deal with. I don't know.
You devil. The back glass shattering would include almost all of the driver's side being shattered out. You do have a portion of the passenger side. I didn't see from the pictures I had any holes in the passenger side back glass because it was partition, being the type of vehicle it was. There was a sliding glass back partition.
Not according to that mechanic that got the vehicle.
When he was
showed the pictures.
Right. The middle sliding glass was out. The driver's side was out. I've got pictures of that. And I can do a diagram. You've got upper spatter.
Just put those up on Twitter.
Yeah.
No, I mean for this.
Yeah, that's fine. I can do a diagram as well. Just a not to scale diagram. You've got upper spatter in the passenger compartment on the ceiling in the middle, which is slightly over the light, which that should probably be from mostly the 22 coming in at an angle and going up. That shooter appeared to be engaging and getting closer. They were not the best shot out of the two. The person with the 30.
Did you talk about the building next door? Yeah.
No.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
There's not much to say about it.
Yeah, I'm just going over the scene. The 8mm shooter appeared to be the more competent of the two shots, also the less passionate. The truck bed was struck at least twice.
You said the 8mm was what, closer?
No, the 8mm appeared to be further and
across the street?
by the better shot. No, this would be from behind them.
Somebody had to shoot from across the street.
Yes, it would have been from an across the street angle, but not necessarily across the street. I believe both these shooters were closer than whoever was estimated. You can see, John, right here, one of the 8mm shots that penetrated the bed and went into the cab.
Yeah.
And went through. There is a slight thrust angle.
Yeah.
Coming from the back right-hand side where the tail light would be on the right-hand side. That indicates a person who is not at a great distance because they're not lobbing the shot in there.
Yeah.
It's still too much velocity to penetrate a steel bed like that. This person is probably, I don't know, maximum 18 feet away to get that shot because they have to get over the truck bed to get that shot down in there. And they have to be tall enough where the barrel's high enough to get over the truck bed and get down in there. So, like I said, 18 feet to 20 feet.
You know, this truck wasn't, I don't think it was street level, was it?
It doesn't appear to be lifted.
It was no
to be stock.
No, I mean it's actually down like a small amount in a gravel driveway. You see, like that's
I got you. The street's not absolutely flat, but what I'm saying is when you look at the rear photos of this truck from, there's one shot I got from a distance. I don't know if it printed it out.
I'm saying he was actually at an angle and sitting in that seat.
Yeah, I'm just talking about the physical evidence into the truck bed, like going through that truck bed like that. That person was not at what I would call a sniper angle.
No,
this was a person who was flat on the road and was within.
Yeah, for sure.
Within, like I say, 18 feet. That's just an estimate given the velocity of the round getting through and then getting into his body.
Well, they mentioned that,
and the other person with the 22 was closer. That person was engaging. That person was coming up. What I don't see any of these crime scene photos. Well, when I look at the seat, there is a clean spot on the seat where at one point someone could have been sitting, but there's some spatter upon closer inspection after that, particularly in the middle spot, which I believe to also be blood, and some on the part of the shoulder rest, which tells me that somewhere in the point of the shooting, if there was a person there, they got out during the shooting or they weren't there during the shooting. Because you can't fake that.
I believe she was there during the shooting. I don't have any doubt about that.
If she was there, she was pulled out during the shooting.
That may have been.
And the rifle was taken out with her because the rifle was not found on scene or mentioned at all, but it was seen at the bar previously, and he didn't leave it there.
I feel like that would make the most sense because if they didn't want to kill her,
and
they also didn't want anybody investigating to see that he had a weapon.
Well, it denotes organization as well because your better shooters coming from behind.
Well, they
shooting at a safer angle, and the other guy is the more inexperienced. I would just a basic profiling stance, I would think that your more seasoned shooter with the 8mm was an older person, and the person on the driver's side of the vehicle was a younger, less disciplined, more passionate person.
Well, whoever it was across the street, they believe wasn't that good of a shooter because they shot bullet holes into the building next door.
Yeah. I didn't say he was a great shooter. I just said he was a better shooter.
Well, I'm just saying that.
Yeah. People missed him.
They went right through the window of the place.
Well, keep in mind that truck did go forward, even though it was out of gear.
Yeah. I know, but
the truck was moving and people missed.
This is a wide gap there.
Mm-hmm.
This is a, anyway. So
like I said, these weren't master assassins that did this. I'm just giving you the
you've got
lay of the land.
You've got 40 people in the street, right? Everybody had a motive, it seems like. Everybody benefits.
Mm-hmm.
The overall feelings that people were pretty happy he was gone,
Yeah, there was a kind of a cry of relief.
But there were some residents that were afraid, actually, because they didn't want to be on the other end of that what they would call vigilante justice. If they talked or that somebody thought they were saying something, So, now what happened? There are lots of rumors, and I'm going to say these are rumors. This is not substantiated in any way, but these are coming from people in the town that were there that day that says that they know what happened. Again, these are rumors. So one person said that they didn't register their own rifles at that time. They made sure they didn't do that. And that was for a reason, for an incident like this. They don't, and that was also to show that they couldn't really determine how many weapons or what the weapons were, right?
I don't believe in that state you had to register them anyway.
I don't know the laws.
Yeah, by what I looked up rudimentary gun law there. It did not seem that you had to register anything at that point.
They also said that they went around and picked up all the shells from the gunfire out of the scene.
That's another thing that gets me. That was it the police that did it, or was it the citizens?
The citizens that were out there picked them up.
Okay.
They also say they took them and they took the guns. This is again a rumor. This person says that they were pretty adamant this is what happened, but they took the guns and they put them in a van, and they were driven to Cheyenne, Wyoming, except for one. The main weapons, what they called it, was thrown in a river somewhere.
Okay.
And whatever happened to these weapons in Cheyenne, Wyoming?
Do this is an?
Are you trying to say Cheyenne?
That's what I said. Cheyenne.
Okay. Okay.
What?
Nothing.
What I said Cheyenne.
Huh? Okay.
Yeah. So again, there's a murder. Clearly a murder in the street. This guy didn't.
There's a murder in Skidmore.
The only person I thought that would have been able to do this in Skidmore, this is the irony, would have been Ken McElroy.
Really?
So they arrest him. No, they don't.
They keep shooting people and not killing them.
That's true.
So fuck him.
Yeah,
he couldn't do this.
Everybody else didn't stand a chance.
Multiple people to take care of him. That's all.
I can't believe you haven't named one suspect already.
Well, this is
the guy whose MO is exactly this. Exactly this type of thing.
Oh, who's that?
You know who?
I don't.
Happened in Jasper, Missouri.
Oh, it was
Sonny Red.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, that's true. This is almost the plot of
the ending of Roadhouse. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Sonny Red and his cohorts. There was one man who was a witness, and all he would say was, "Polar bear fell on me."
Well,
his name was Tinker.
Trina, she said that she saw the shooter, or at least one of the shooters.
Yeah, she said he was a half a block away.
No, that he was there because he owned the bar.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of the owners of the bar, the D&G, Dale Clements. But again, nobody seems to have any evidence that he had anything to do with it. And one of the big reasons is that nobody is talking.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody says anything.
Nobody ever has.
No, they started the investigation into it. They formed this thing called a NOMA squad.
That was immediately afterwards. That was a state thing.
It was various law enforcement agencies. Even I think the FBI had something to do with it. But
not initially. NOMAS was the
it was a 5-day investigation.
Well, that squad only goes out for 5 days. That was what they had at the time.
That was what they meant. Get in, get out. Nothing. So then they get a coroner's inquest, and during this time, Trina testified that Dale Clemens killed her husband. But again, that went nowhere. Nothing. And there was supposedly during this thing that the prosecutor had another witness that was about to come forward.
A sequestered witness who was not named,
but withdrew.
Yeah, withdrew testimony.
Yeah,
before a grand jury.
During this time, the entire McElroy family goes into hiding because they feel like they're targets at this point, which is probably a smart thing to do. Well, since nobody's talking, there's no evidence, nothing's happening. The last move is to hold a grand jury, and that was a year to the day of the shooting.
Mm-hmm.
But that ended with no indictments.
Very little testimony as well.
Now they had the town during this time too. I'll say this about Skidmore: the media flooded the area, and because these people were out there basically like searching nonstop for answers, because it was an intriguing story, people started leaving the town. Like it cut that town's population in half, probably.
Yeah, they got the hell out of Dodge.
Yeah,
or Skidmore.
Skidmore. But the FBI came in. This is another interesting thing. The FBI still kept investigating, and they would dress like farmers. This is another reason people left.
Yeah,
they would dress like farmers to come in and try to get the scoop on there.
Well, the entire town went into lockdown. Was like, you're not from here. We don't know you, and they're not talking to you about anything. Journalists, whoever.
Yeah.
The FBI came in and thought they'd be slick, and they came in there with fucking creased overalls and fucking plaid shirts that looked like they were just straight off the fucking rack. And they're like, "Get the fuck out of here. We don't know anything."
Yeah, and
farmer agent.
To this day, the case is unsolved.
Technically.
Well, that's how it goes.
Mm-hmm. And there's plenty of interesting conspiracies, just theories. Well, I'm not saying this one conspiracies as a bad way, because
the town has its own.
It was a conspiracy that left him dead.
Sure, I mean,
they did conspire.
They did conspire, and well, it seems that way. There's always that odd chance that two people decided on their own to just do it without any.
You don't have a meeting about it.
It's possible.
Well, I mean, it's possible they did it based on that. I mean,
the town has a history of doing this.
Yeah.
And in this case, there are three active people in this. There's 2 shooters and 1 person that gets trained out of the truck.
I feel like the whole town is active in this.
I agree, but you've got a minimum evidentiary minimum of 3 people engaging in this.
Yeah.
Right.
And then the whole town is not, that's it. There was a problem. It needed to be taken care of. And they didn't trust the system anymore.
You're talking about the town. What were you going to say about the history of the town? I know
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, just, watching the documentary and looking into this, like, violence didn't begin or end with Ken McElroy. He's a product of that town. And obviously a product of his father, but his father was a product of that town. So it's just this, like we were saying, even before we were recording, the cycle of violence and abuse, that whole town is infected with it. If you watch the documentary on YouTube, all the way through, you'll see that violence continued. Horrible, horrible violence.
Yeah.
A pregnant woman was attacked in her home, and somebody ripped her baby from her. and left her dead.
Yeah.
A kid who was likely involved in drugs. Well, he was known to be a meth cooker.
Right.
He went missing, and there was all sorts of conspiracy around that one that, was never substantiated, and I don't think they ever found his body. And
if
guess
you look
what?
at the missing person website,
and people kept quiet, and they're still keeping quiet.
There's a lot around there that have gone missing.
That town is a culture of violence and
so
keeping things quiet.
I think about it this way too, though. When you have this town went through the right steps they called the police.
Yeah.
Nothing happened.
They were fed up.
Then you're going to create a culture of that sort of like, we take care of our own here.
Mm-hmm.
We go by our rules because these are the rules that work here. Nothing else.
Your laws were inadequate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So now we're going to do it our way.
Is that vigilantism still?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Or see, so there's a guy in the documentary that says, like, I wish they hadn't done him that way. This is his words. Wish they hadn't killed him that way. I wish the government had done it.
Mm-hmm.
Or the police. What I think he says is the government. That to me is look, I don't. It's a really tough one because of they didn't. It almost seemed like they had no other option.
Yeah, well, I mean, these people. I'm not defending vigilantism,
but what they did is they did a structured.
Yes, what they did was actually a democratic form of justice in that particular sense, because there were a lot of people there who seemed to have come to a conclusion, and everybody kind of in some way, shape, or form condoned it, if not through a vote, then through silence and assistance.
Yeah.
And this is where you start hitting blurred lines with justice. Actual justice. Is it justice? Is it vengeance? What does this serve? Who does this serve? Is this the exception to the rule of law? Does that exist? And does it exist in a place where there's ethics and morals to back up the use of that?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you have to make that determination on your own. The law is not a system of. It can be born of ethics and morality, but the law is simply a law. The law is a rule that's designed.
They're not always right.
Correct.
Yeah.
There are limits to a law, any law.
Mm-hmm.
There are limits to all laws. And there has to be a hard line with the law, because the law, if it's not observed, it's not a law. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
So where was the failing? Was the initial failing on the police here?
He should have never been allowed out on bond.
Yeah, I mean, the judiciary and the police, I think you have to lay the burden of this monster's demise at their feet.
Yeah.
Maybe look at the county seat of Marysville or whatever it was called.
Yeah.
To see what's going on over there, because
and there's allegations that he was connected to organized crime and the mafia out of Kansas City by virtue of, the lawyer that was pointed out to him retain, and some of the other
Dixie
associations.
Mafia during that time.
And the cash he had to pay.
Right.
Where did he get that money?
Right. His income was completely off the
Nobody
board.
Missed him but Trina. And maybe his criminal buddies.
I'm not sure that she even knew that. I don't know. I don't want to it's hard to put a thought into somebody's mind or like figure out what they're actually thinking. Right. But man, she was stalked by this guy since she was 13 years old. Yeah. Does she even know? Like I know she got remarried after that. So that
I think she was completely captured by this guy, and I mean that in the worst sense. I mean, she was completely bent to this dude's will.
Yeah.
And folks obviously felt sorry for her. If not, she would have got.
Which is probably why they did. Yeah, that's why they didn't kill her.
But
because they have morals. She's innocent.
Well, legally. She did at certain points aid and abet and apologize for him, and you can make those judgments for what you will. She's a victim.
Yeah.
Yes. And she didn't do anything I would say she's innocent in the eyes of the people, maybe not the law.
Right.
She wasn't
But
malicious in her.
No,
intent.
she was. I mean, what are you supposed to do when you're her?
Yeah.
Not aid and abet him.
Right.
Not apologize for him. Not,
Even her parents didn't keep her safe.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
yeah, you're looking at a
that's all she
person who was never safe unless she did his bidding.
but
yeah.
I'll tell you what, I would love to do a wrestling match in that town. Let's do it.
Oh, dude.
Take on the whole town.
Yeah. How many people in that town do you think how many people do you think you could beat up in that town based off what you've seen?
What I seen?
Yeah, what you've seen.
Based on what you've seen, well, I'm really beat up.
Well,
It's
I'm
200
not sure.
something
I don't
now.
know.
I'm saying you could take
All
at
of
least
them. I'll beat them
40,
all up.
I say I'm signing you up for at least 40 people you can take out. You take out 40 people in that town, then.
Okay. But I only want to fight men.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
I would expect no less of you.
Yeah.
You go in that town like fucking Xena.
What would your wrestling name be? I know what mine would be. Ken McElroy.
Well, I think when they start building you at 6'4", people are going to figure out something's amiss.
Yeah, I'll come in with stilts on. I don't care. I'll big boot them.
I don't know. I've never thought about my wrestling name.
I mean, just for this one.
For this one?
Yeah. It's kind of hard to think that area. Missouri, Ozarks. I don't know.
Somebody listening, give me a name.
Give that a wrestling name.
We're gonna begin more interaction with you folks who are good enough to listen to us.
Best wrestling name.
We do love you.
It's a
big shout out to Roy Rice.
I was
thank you so much.
That. Yeah.
Also,
that was really nice.
Also, I did want to mention this. I didn't know if you guys want to mention it now, but we'll mention in the future.
Mention it.
Lucky Bug. Thank you again.
Yes. Yes.
LuckyBugArtisanGoods.com. Joe, great work.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
He sent us four different coasters. We got the code 1, 2.
I'm sending one to you, Nat.
Yeah.
You got to have one.
Yes.
Yeah. Nice. He's also at Double Husky Dad on the internet.
Joe and Susan,
the Twitter,
Bell, the owners.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. You can go to LuckyBugArtisanGoods.com and their email is the same at Gmail. And we'll post all that stuff up again. But awesome. Thank you for that.
And this may have been a little bit of a longer episode, guys, but I think it works. I like it. This was a good one.
I don't like when the bully doesn't win.
Yeah, that's really you.
I was really captivated by this town because it really reminded me of my hometown. Like it's much bigger than Skidmore, but that
they had a bully named Nat.
Feeling of that feeling of like the law isn't going to do anything, so we have to.
Yeah.
I grew up around, not to this extent, but I mean close enough.
There's a few towns around here that are.
I couldn't imagine.
And it's
one dude being able to keep me from doing my job as an officer there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this is.
We never had a town bully. It's just anybody who messed with the wrong people, like women and children.
Right,
yeah.
Right.
I just.
Yeah.
It irks me that jobs were not done.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're talking about 19. I mean, there's
it happens all over the place.
I think this is a good point too. That if this had happened now, you would have had 40 fucking cell phone videos of this thing.
Yeah,
everybody would have been able to pick it.
Not in Skidmore.
Well, maybe not in Skidmore. Maybe, I don't even know if they have cell reception out there.
I like to go back to True Detective season 1. Russ Cole. World needs bad men. We keep other bad men from the door.
I like that one.
There's got to be that element if you're gonna wear a badge and a gun. You got to have that in you.
Does it necessarily have to be I mean, I guess in the law's eyes, but
if you're bullied out of being a cop, then don't be a cop.
Well, that's exactly my point.
You can't do it.
If you get bullied out of being a cop, then what's to say what they did wasn't the right thing?
I mean, yeah, the philosophical discussion. the falafel of the entire thing is,
Yeah, it's up
Where-
to everybody to decide whether it was right or wrong.
yeah, where was justice? Was it served? And, is it, in this case, is it, when it's served cold like that, is it revenge or is it justice? I don't think there's a hard line answer to this. I think you're going to float back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's revenge when it's one person. When it's
Oh no, I've seen revenge from multiple people on one
Hold on.
target.
When it's everybody.
No,
Including the safety
you're
of
saying that
everybody?
every mob that goes after somebody, that's
No.
No, I'm not
Yeah.
saying. I'm saying in this case, when everybody's safety is at risk, and nobody's doing anything about it.
Right, there's a lot of caveats.
it doesn't get rid of that. People weren't safe after.
I mean, again, systemically, the failure on the justice system, and I apply that across the board, is astounding.
Mm-hmm.
Astounding. Like, how would this have gone down if someone had, if that marshal had just shot him dead in the streets? I've been like, well, that's how it is.
Yeah.
Like, would anyone be talking about this guy? Probably not. Would that community be safer? Would it be better? I don't know. Maybe. It certainly probably wouldn't have been worse for it.
Like I said, violence there didn't begin or end with him.
It did not. You guys are fucking awesome. I love doing this with you. I think I have more fun and it gets better every week. So I can't thank you enough. I love you both personally.
Wait till my next
Nat,
case.
I love you more.
My next case
Naturally.
is arm wrestling.
I get to do the next case, right?
No, but my next one.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
It's the arm wrestling
Cool.
bandit.
We'll have some fun
I
with
don't know.
that.
I'm just kidding. I'm trying to think of other silly things.
I'm gonna let's see. This was
The wet bandits
anomaly,
are my
so-
next one. There was a series of thieves in Connecticut during the 80s,
Yeah.
late 80s, early 90s.
early 90s. Yeah,
They would go into homes and steal stuff and leave the sink running.
we've been looking for you. You guys are gonna go away for
Kill-
years.
And you won't believe this vigilante justice,
Yep,
in the form of one little boy,
one blonde little bastard,
Kevin
That town.
McAllister.
But
Yep.
it's
All
not
right.
even Christmas.
Yep.
Well,
Should have never left him home alone.
signing off from Skidmore. Nat, John, thank you. I love you guys.
Thank you.
You're the best.
Love you too.
Nat, you want to tell everybody what you need to tell them?
Close your damn blinds.
That's right. Close your damn blind shut. Lock your
Close
damn
your God.
windows. And I'm gonna say, John, how about you?
Turn the frown up. No.
Yeah, you'll get there. You'll get there.
Okay, I'll have one next week.
All right. Don't be afraid. Be aware. Thanks, guys.